Today we're going to create a character in Foundry VTT version 12, so take note, using the D&D 5th edition system with the current version being 4.1.2. If you're using earlier versions, things might look slightly different for you. If you are using updated versions, things might also look different for you, but should still work. We'll use both the in-house system to create a character, and then I will also show you how to use the D&D Beyond importer module to import a character from D&D Beyond. This video is also going to be sort of a tutorial for any of the people in my Shadows of Remnant West Marches campaign. I will be referencing some things that are very specific to my campaign in this. However, I felt like the rest of it is still pretty useful for anybody making a character in Foundry. I didn't want to like cut it out or make 2 videos because also I only have so much time in the day to be able to edit all these things. I'll try to make sure I preface whether it's specific to my campaign or not. Without further ado, let's dive in. First, you're gonna need to log into Foundry. I think that's obvious. So you're gonna need to talk to your GM to get your username and your password set up. If you are from my West Marches campaign, you're going to need to go back to that getting started page and submit a form so that one of our keepers can set you up in Foundry. So make sure you do that first. Then once you have your Foundry login, come back. So you're going to log in and you're going to see, if you're in my game, a dashboard of some sort here. It'll probably look a little bit different depending on your campaign. Regardless, you're gonna go up to the top right corner. Usually you start on the chat messages, but you're gonna look for this little actors button in the top right. Go in and hit create actor. Just a note that if your GM doesn't allow you to make token actor or actor tokens, you're not going to be able to create a character. So make sure that you talk to your GM and they give you the ability to do that. Otherwise, the GM's just going to have to do it all themselves. How funny. I'm going to ask you for your character's name. For me, naming always becomes last. So I'm going to just type name here. And I'll come back and I'll change that afterwards because I don't know if you're like me, but I have a hard time with names. You want to make sure your type is player character, otherwise you're not going to be able to control them, and you're going to hit create new actor. Here's the new version of the character sheet and here's what it looks like. In order to edit anything, we're going to go up into this left-hand corner and we're going to hit this toggle to edit. It should turn this like beige color. That's hard for my husband to see. So the way you'll know is that you can type into this box and change your name. So for my campaign, we're going to be doing only 2024 rules, and we're going to kind of follow the way that the player's handbook also suggests to create your character. That's how it works best, I've found, in this as well. First, we're gonna add class. So I'm not gonna go over where everything is because I think that you will learn it as you go if you're following this tutorial. But on the right-hand side is all of these like tabs here. We're going to look for features, the one in the middle. Here you're gonna see there's a big button that says add class. For us, we're going to do a druid. Again, for my campaign, we're doing the 2024 rules. So we're gonna hit this button here to have only the 2024 classes. That'll just automatically sort it by source here for you. Editor's note, if your DM does not own the player's handbook resources for Foundry, aka the module that puts all of the 2024 rules in here, then you're only going to have access to the SRD. If you're playing a class that's not considered a part of the free rules, then this character creation method is not going to work 100% for you because you're gonna have to do everything manually, and we're not going over that today. It's like 24 bucks. I did purchase it just because it'll be easier in the long run for my players. However, you can also have your DM imported if they have it on D&D Beyond, or you can jump to the second method in this, which is creating your character on D&D Beyond. But again, you're gonna need to have someone who has more than just the SRD rules, even on D&D Beyond, and we're not gonna go over all of those manual things in this video. If that's something you guys would want in a future video, please let me know in the comments down below, and then I can figure out how to show you how to do it more manually. Back to the video. I'm going to add the druid class by adding this little checkbox here. When you hover over the class, you'll get a box on the right-hand side that tells you a little bit more about the class if you're unsure. If you want this box to stay still, you can actually use the mouse wheel click that, and then you'll be able to scroll in it. Either way, I know I want to play a druid, so we're going to do that, and we're going to hit select down at the bottom to accept that change. Then you're gonna have some pop-ups. This is the part that I think might change visually in future updates, as it still kind of looks like the old version of Foundry. If you're looking at this in the future, hi future, but also it might look just a little bit different. It'll start you off on level 1, so it'll walk you through all of the basics for that. So your hit points, your saving throw proficiencies, and then it's gonna ask you if you need to choose any skills or anything. So we're gonna choose some stuff, and then it's gonna tell you know Druidic, so it's gonna add that to your character sheet. It's also gonna add light armor and shields to your proficiencies. It kind of just is telling you exactly what you get out of this. Herbalism kit, and then of course your spell casting abilities and things like that. Speak with animals. Now I have a primal order I can choose. When it comes to something that has more details, you can click on any of them and a box will pop up that kind of describes what it is. Addition. So we're gonna do that. So my cantrips went up from none to 2. Same with my prepared spells, so I'm none to 4. For my campaign for Shadows of Remnant, we're actually going to start at level 3. So I'm gonna actually show you how to level up your class here. I think you should do this now because then you can add your subclass and then we'll get to other things. On your character sheet, you'll see now you have Druid or whatever class you chose up here. You'll also see a 1. For my campaign, we're gonna go up 2 levels to level 3. For hit point advancement, we're going to take the average. We do not roll hit points in mine. You'll have to ask your GM. It also tells me what I get, so I'm gonna get my wild shape or a wild companion. My forms goes up because they changed that in 2024 rules. Spells go up, CR for wild shape goes up. It's just gonna kind of run you through all the different changes. And then we got to level 3, so we're gonna take the average HP again. And then again, my spells go up. And now I get to choose my subclass. We'll hit complete here. And now you'll see a new little box right next to your druid thing. This is to add your subclass. So we're gonna click on that. Again, we're going to limit the sources to the 2024 handbook. And we're gonna pick, I'm gonna do Circle of the Sea. And I'm gonna make a very piratey druid. Let's do it. So it'll tell you what kind of spells you get, and it'll run you through all of the different aspects of your subclass. Let's go ahead and add our species and our backstory stuff before we start preparing spells and things like that. So to do that, you're gonna go back to this details, the first little cog here, and underneath your saving throws here on the right, I'm actually gonna make it just a little bigger. You're gonna see add species and add background. So we're gonna add our species first, again, sorting by the 2024 handbook. And of course, I'm gonna go with wood elf because I can. So that's what I always do. Then it's gonna tell you what is all involved in that. Then we're gonna add survival, I think, for her. Here's all our other things. Again, you can click on these, a box will pop up and you can read it more thoroughly, but I'm just trying to like rush through this a little bit. As a wood elf, we can choose one of these for our spellcasting ability. Because it's a druid, I'm gonna go with wisdom. Now, before we go ahead and add our background, we're actually gonna wanna figure out our ability scores now. Because when you add your background in the 2024 rules, it ends up giving you ability score increases. That can get a little bit complicated then. You wanna add your ability scores before adding your background. If you forget to do that and you do your background first, don't fret. You'll just need to subtract 10 from each of your ability scores and then take that remaining number and add it into your ability scores. That probably sounds more complicated than it is. So that's why I'm saying just do your ability scores before you do your background. For this, you're gonna need to talk to your GM about how they want to do ability scores. Some people like to do rolling. We will not be doing rolling in the Shadows of Remnant West Marches campaign. If you're in my campaign, what we're going to be doing is either point buy or standard array. It's a little bit harder to do point buy in Foundry itself. I'll put on screen what the cost chart looks like in the player's handbook. Essentially, you have 27 points to spend on your ability scores. So you'll kind of have to do that math yourself. Since it's a little bit more complicated, I'm just gonna do standard array for this Foundry version. With standard array, you have the following numbers that you can put into any of your 6 ability scores. So 15, 14, 13, 12, 10 and 8 are the numbers that you need to put in these things. So being a druid, I know that I probably want my wisdom to be the highest. So you can change this in either fashion. So you can click on the little cog and it'll pull it up and you can see all of the details about that. Or you can literally just type into here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna want my wisdom the highest. So once we have those in, we're gonna go ahead and add our background. You could do that down here and we'll sort again my 2024 rules. We're gonna go ahead and add sailor because we're a seas druid. And here you go. So all of the 2024 backgrounds now add an ability score improvements. So this is why I recommended doing that first. So that way you know which ones you want to upgrade. I'm gonna do wisdom, and then I'm gonna put 2 into dex. We can select more languages. If you're in my campaign, Draconic doesn't exist, so you can't do that, but you can do any of the other ones. This will also give you more proficiencies. These will just auto apply. You can review the Tavern Brawler feat if you would like, and then at any time if you want to change something, you can always hit the delete button here. Next, we're going to add spells to our druid. This gets a little bit complicated and it totally depends on how your GM has set up Foundry. If they have the 2024 rulebook in Foundry, it's a little bit easier for you. If they do not, it gets a little bit more complicated and I will show you how to do it. Either way, you're going to need to know what your spell list is. In order to do that, you're gonna need a player's handbook, or you can do this. So you're gonna go up to this top right up here to compendiums. And in my game, so for my Shadows of Remnant people, you're gonna go to it'll probably be closed, this blue player's handbook folder, and you're gonna find the player's handbook and you're just gonna go ahead and open that up. For other people who do not have the handbook in here, you're gonna probably use either the SRD spell list, so you can click this. For our purposes, we could also use the spell list from the handbook here. So that'll pop up a compendium of spells on the left-hand side as well. It's easier if you have the handbook. So if you go in here, we are a druid. There's a couple things. Once you click on druid, you can close this window and then you'll be in the druid section. One of the things is with spells, at level 1, you get 2 cantrips of your choice. So you're gonna look at level 1, wherever you get your spell casting, and you're gonna find a page that leads to your spell list. So for me, it'll be druid. We'll pull that up. I'm going to minimize this sidebar just so we have like more room on the screen. And I'm just gonna make this a little bit smaller and put it over here for now. Don't close out that other one because there's also going to be things about cantrips in here that doesn't automatically apply to your character. As a druid, I'm supposed to know Druidcraft +1 because I get this Ray of Frost from my Circle of Sea. You are definitely gonna have to read the book a little bit and figure this out for yourself. But if you have this spell list out, so here are my options for cantrips. I'm gonna do Thunderclap because she's a sea druid and it feels right to me. So you can click on it and drag it and drop it onto your character sheet. And now you see I have Thunderclap on here as well. That's why it's a lot easier if you have the spell list. If you don't have the spell list, you can come over to your compendium and you can start typing Thunderclap under cantrips. Here it is, and you can click and drag that from there as well. Next, we'll do some of my other levels. So I know that on our character sheet, it'll tell you how many you have prepared, and I know that I can do up to 2nd level. You can see that on your chart here as well. So level 3 cantrips known is 2, and then it's like cut off a little bit. But level 3, I have up to 2nd level spell slots. So I will pick 6 spells and I will be right back. Okay, so I've added some of the spells that I would like. I should add, you could just take all of the 1st and 2nd level spells and drop them in here because you still have to go in and hit the prepared button on these spells. So you can hit these 3 little dots here and you're gonna go ahead and hit the prepare button. And now you'll see up at the top, we have 1 of 6 prepared. So again, if you add a spell, so I added Spike Growth, I don't want it, so hit the delete item or delete spell button here, and then a box will pop up to confirm and you can remove it that way. Another thing we can do while we're here is we can actually make these favorite So if I want, I can click and drag and drop it here, and now the Cure Wounds spell is under favorites. So no matter what tab I'm on, I can always see the Cure Wounds spell. We're gonna do that for weapons as well. I just wanna show you guys like what that looks like too once you have all your spells in here. If you toggle the edit button back off, now you'll see like some of these are always prepared, but these ones are prepared. So if I had a spell on here that wasn't, it would not have this little sun. The other thing too is if you wanna read the whole thing, if you click on this, it'll drop it into chat. Instead, if you want to just read it, if you hit these little boxes, it'll expand it and tell you exactly what is on that card when you hover over it. Again, you can hover over it and hit the middle button and also be able to scroll and look at it. Now is a good time to add your biography. So if you go down here onto this bottom one, this is where you'll add things like your alignment, what you look like, your ideals, bonds, you know, your backstory. Editor KYLIE here. If you're my Shadows of Remnant campaign, your backstory that you put into Foundry is going to be public, so just keep that in mind. We're setting it up so that you will be able to submit a private backstory if you would like, which only the GMs will be able to see in that character creation form that you have to submit after creating your character. So if you're in my campaign, don't put anything you don't want other people to know in this section. Just a side note, just because you put it in your backstory does not mean that we're going to be able to address it, because it is still a West Marches campaign and there are already like 15 people with 3 different characters. So that's 45 different character backstories. There is no possible way we will get to every minutia in your backstory. So just keep that in mind. If you would like to add a portrait, this is going to be very dependent on your GM. Foundry by default does not allow players to upload things into the database. Probably have to reach out to your GM to get your picture uploaded. Now let's move on to inventory. For most people who are not in my Shadows of Remnant campaign, this means going into the compendium, dragging and dropping just like we did with spells, but this time with items onto your character sheet. If you are in my Shadows of Remnant campaign, we are not doing starting equipment. You will have to buy all of your equipment. Level 3 characters will start with 200 gold pieces so that you can buy your equipment. That said, if you want to buy your equipment on the Foundry in my Shadows of Remnant campaign, you're going to need a GM or a keeper to be present on the server. So alternatively, you can just make a note of which items you would like to buy, and then when you submit your character sheet for review. But here's how you would purchase them if a keeper or GM is available for you. On the dashboard, you're gonna see Archibald here. Double click on him and that's gonna open up his store. You have 200 gold pieces. You wanna make sure that on your character sheet, let's toggle edit again here. If you go to the backpack looking thing, which is the inventory, make sure you add 200 gold pieces here. You want to make sure that at the bottom it says shopping as your name, which is name here right now still. If it doesn't, if this is your second or third character in the database, you're going to want to go down to your name down here, right click and click user configuration, and then you can select you can see I have another test character I made, but you can select the name here, click on that and then hit save and it should update down there. Regardless, you should have your 200 gold that you just put into your inventory will show up at the bottom as well. And then you can go ahead and buy all of your supplies. You can also type to search. So we're gonna type herbalism to buy that. So you're gonna hit the buy button and then buy item here to confirm. And then you'll see it'll pop up on your inventory over there. You'll have to pay attention to what kind of armors and weapons you can use. So to make sure, just go back to details over here and you're gonna see down here I can use light armor and shields as well as simple weapons. So when I get to here, I can see light armor. I'm gonna get the leather armor here. We'll buy that and then we'll go to simple weapons. I want to have a short bow. And then of course I will need arrows. So for this, we're gonna add a quantity. We're gonna put 20 on here. And then you can keep going, buy all the things that you want. Once you buy all your equipment, you're gonna need to go to the inventory section and actually equip it. We don't need to, we can toggle this back to play mode. And you'll see here, it'll say not equipped. So we'll go ahead and equip them. etc. And then you can see I have an Explorer's Pack here. It doesn't always put the stuff that's in the Explorer's Pack in there, but we can put torches, tinderbox, rope, rations, which is 10. So rations here will go up to 10. And then 2 flasks of oil, so we'll do 2. You can move things into your backpack by clicking and dragging them into the backpack like this. So that's what we're gonna do. Once you get all of that set up, your character is done. And you will need to ping a keeper if you're in the Shadows of Remnant campaign. Of course, I never named her. We'll just name Sea Druid. If you want to use this in somebody else's campaign, you can actually go over here and right click and you can hit export data. And then when you get into someone else's Foundry server, so say you're playing in one of my games on Shadows of Remnant, you can just import the data into the new Foundry and then export your data when you're done and come back in here and import it again. That's to help keep your character sheet up to date and help you go between different GMs in our West Marches campaign. Okay, so here's how you do it with D&D Beyond. Please note that some of this is going to be very specific to my campaign. You'll have to talk to your DM to figure out all of these options as well. Just a note, you don't have to purchase anything from D&D Beyond in order to use this, especially since for the 2024 rules, a lot of it is already in the free rules. However, there are some things that if you don't purchase books, you can't have access to. Ask your DM if they have access to it that they could share, or you can always create things from scratch in here. I'm not gonna go into all of that because I just don't care to, and Foundry, you can create those things too. But I am gonna go over some of the things that you will need if you're joining my Shadows of Remnant campaign, because we have a whole campaign link in there that you're going to need to take your character to. Editor KYLIE here, just a side note that we only have one campaign link and you're only allowed to have 12 players in it, and we've already hit that limit at this point. This was before I filmed the rest of this video. Things might change in this regard. You can still make a character on your own, but when in doubt, you still have Foundry to access the full player's handbook. Really, we're not going to encourage people to use D&D Beyond while playing in the campaign, as we are going to encourage everybody to use Foundry so that everybody can see roles and that kind of thing. We might also in the future add more campaign links. We'll be booting old characters out of that server so that we can have more characters. Create a character, and then you're gonna get to this. We're gonna do a standard build. You can pick your name or whatever. Again, I'm just gonna leave it blank for now, just for simplicity. But down here, when it comes to sources, so we want you to uncheck homebrew. Expanded rules is okay. We're also gonna suggest that you uncheck 2014 rules and legacy content. If you are playing an artificer, you will need to do the 2014 core rules until they release a new one, but after which point we're asking all players to use the classes and things built from the 2024 rules, because it gets complicated otherwise. So if there is a 2024 version of your character, you're going to want to use that. For partnered content, we're going to uncheck that. We don't want any of that. For the rest of this, doesn't matter too much. Hit point type you want to do fixed, but the biggest thing you want is down here, character privacy. You don't want campaign only, you actually need it to be public, and here's why. Otherwise, you cannot add this into Foundry. It's okay if you forget to click this. I'll show you how to get to it after you build your character, but you're gonna go ahead and do all the same things, choose your class, and that kind of thing. Yeah, see expanded rules, artificers in here. So just make sure you're pulling spells and things that are from the 2024 rules as much as you can until they release an actual artificer. But yeah, you're gonna go ahead, choose your class. We're gonna add that. For here, you're gonna do level 3, all of that. So I'm not gonna go through all of this on D&D Beyond because it's pretty self-explanatory and it holds your hand through all of it. The only thing I will mention is that your ability scores are easier. So when it gets to ability scores, you can pick point buy or standard array. And if you do point buy, it's much easier to see how many points you have, etc., etc. So if that's the way you want to do your stats, it's easier in here than in Foundry. However, for your equipment, you're gonna have to do it manually. So we don't do starting equipment. You're going to start with 200 gold pieces, and you're gonna have to figure out how much it costs and keep track of it. We will have a keeper go through your character sheet and double check these things too. Once you do that, what you're going to need is actually the link. We're gonna pull Cinder, who is an old character of mine, but what you need is the link above. If you did not make your character sheet public, you can always go into this button, Manage, then you're gonna go to Character Settings on the right, you're gonna scroll all the way down and you're gonna click Public down here. Then you're gonna go up to the top and grab this link, okay? You're going to copy that. Then you're gonna go to Foundry. In Foundry, you're gonna go over to the top right and you're gonna hit Create Actor. It does not matter what name you put in here, and I will show you why, because when you hit that button, you're gonna go over here, you're gonna hit Edit, toggle your edit back on with the toggle, and you're gonna hit this big D&D Beyond button. Here, you're gonna paste that URL that we grabbed, and then you're gonna just start import. You shouldn't need to change anything. You can import an image into D&D Beyond, so if you have one, you can click this image button in the middle, but otherwise, everything should be good. You can start your import. All right, once it's all good, you'll be able to see the character sheet. If you have any issues with that, sometimes the thing can come up and say there's no cobalt cookie, or other things can happen. You could also just send that link to your GM and then they can upload it for you. For people in the Shadows of Remnant campaign, if you're done with your character, it's completely done, send that link into the Keeper Ping channel on the Discord server, and then they will upload it for you. For Remnant people, you're about to get another series of videos on other things like importing and exporting your character, and just general forms and submissions that we will need to complete if you want to buy items, etc. So more on that on the way, but I hope everybody else also enjoyed this tutorial on creating a character in Foundry VTT. Special thank you to Cruz and all my Patreon members for helping to support the channel. You can support the channel too by joining me over at patreon.com/cantripsmedia, where you can also get deals on like the new magazine that I released and maps, and you can get all these videos ad-free. Go check it out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.